Hello and welcome back to the Spots of Wisdom podcast. I'm Shannon. I run Spot That Dog.
Hi, I'm Jade and I run that dog based in Wrexham.
So today we have a bit of a ranty episode. Me and Jade have been in that particular mood for the last 2 days, so we're just gonna have a bit of a rant. Today's episode is based on things that we feel should probably prevent you getting a dog. So don't get a dog if, and this might be things that we find as dog professionals, dog trainers, or just general being dog owners. So Jade, start us off.
Okay, so I have a list, so bear with me. My first one, people don't get a dog if you're not gonna do your breed research. And then to go one step further, if you're not then gonna provide something suitable for your dog to do based on the breed that you've got. So that's two things really. But people that don't research the breed, they just go out and go, this one's small and fluffy and I like this one and so I'm gonna have this one. And then people that get like a border collie and they just want it to sit on the sofa for 23 hours a day.
No,
That
I get you. And
one's
a good point on it to make. I actually seen this, I think it was on TikTok or something the other day, of a different dog trainer. I
Hmm.
can't remember who it was. It was a bloke, but it made sense. And I did it myself. So if you're going to get a dog that you don't know nothing about, fine, as
Yeah.
long as you're willing to do the research. So I did it with Woody. Woody was my first Dalmatian. I got him, stuck him on whatever food, got on with life, and then I started to research the breed,
Yeah.
which fine. And it wasn't as if it was 5 years later. It was within his first year that I started to figure things out. Thankfully, not due to any issues. I didn't have any health issues that I needed to research. I always knew that they were carriage dogs and stuff like that, but dietary wise, it was a couple of months in before
Yeah.
I fully researched it. And I think I probably did it um speaking to a friend, because I've got a friend who's a vet who's got Dalmatians, and she asked me if Woody had the, I need to say it slowly because I can never say it right, hyperuricosuria gene, which is whether they're HUA or LUA, which Woody is HUA.
Yeah.
So from there on out, I did my research on food. And doing that's fine, I think. Doing your research once you've got a dog, fine. But the research you need to do beforehand is whether you can handle the type of dog that they are. Like, if you're not going to do the research into um their food and stuff like that, you just need to make sure that they're the right dog for your lifestyle, or that you're able to adapt your lifestyles to suit
Yeah.
them.
I think that's a good point, is that you're willing to learn and you're willing to put the effort in. It's very different to go, I've bought a border collie, tough, like that's what's
Yeah.
gonna, to then somebody going out, oh, I've got a border collie and it's driving me a bit mad. So now we do agility and now we do this and now we do that and you're adapting. I think that's
Yeah.
different. Um, but yeah, I think researching just to make sure that you're not going to end up giving yourself a headache. Like if you
Yeah.
do 3 hours of walking on a weekend or whatever, get a dog that's going to suit you better. It's going to save you so much in the long run.
But equally, in that, from what you just said, is also ensuring that not having a dog that you only do 3 hours on a weekend. Like, most dogs could do 3 hours on a weekend, but
Yeah.
they probably couldn't do 3 hours every single day.
Mhm.
Like, mine are hit and miss. Woody loves a good run around the field. You give him 20 minutes around the field and he's out of it. And so with Bucky. If you give Bucky the chance to run, he's out cold within 20 minutes. Like, he gets all that energy out and then he's gone. Whereas other dogs, they might not. It's extra energy that one dog may have that the other may not. You may have a border collie who is a couch potato. Very rare, but I know of some of them that do. And they do end up coming alive when you do certain exercises. Like, if you've got that couch potato, but you're like, oh, I'm going to try agility, and then they kind of come awake when that happens.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, like you said,
Um,
I think it's being able to adapt your lifestyle into it. So when I was obviously already a horsey girl before I bought Woody. I already had my horse.
yes.
Um, always wanted Dalmatian before I even got my horse, and it was just one of those things, and that I wanted to have my dog with my horse. It was always one of those goals. Like, I mean, Woody's not petrified of the horses, but he doesn't like being around the horses anyway, but he can do it. Um, and he's the right dog for that type of lifestyle. He, throughout lockdown, came up to the yard with me every single day and just potted around the horses. He knew to stay away, and it was one of those things. He is the right kind of dog for that thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like you said, you can do all the research and go out and get the breed that you want, and then it'd be one of those dogs that doesn't fit the breed, like whatever you want to call
Always
it.
the lottery. You
Yeah.
never know what you're gonna get. Like, so we say it with Bucky all the time. He was the little fat bloody bundle of potato that sat in the corner and did nothing
Yeah.
on all of Sarah's lives. He, like, she always had to go searching for him because he was the lazy one. And while, yeah, he is still lazy now, like, he's also got a shitload of energy, and obviously he's very lean and teenage like right now. So he's gone from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Yeah. Kevin's the same. He's gone from like being this like really kind of podgy puppy with all this like puppy fat, and now he's like a really tall, leggy teenager, and there's just nothing to
It's
him.
amazing how it's so similar to humans, though, isn't it? Like, you get that glow up where
Yeah.
you go from this little fat bundle of child to
Yeah.
this skinny, lanky teenager.
Really has. He's got legs now and a waist. It's like, wow. Oh,
Right, so I'm gonna add
yeah,
my don't get a dog if.
go on.
And this one, I see a lot of this on social media, but like, not, we always talk about breed groups. It's not about breed groups, it's more
Yeah.
about local groups on this for this one.
Mhm.
Um, you shouldn't get a dog if you don't have the means to get it vet treatment. And
Yeah.
with this one, I've got two factors.
Okay, go on.
So, transport.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't get a dog if you don't drive.
Mhm.
You need to be able to have some sort of way to get your dog to the vet if there's an
You need
emergency.
a plan in place,
You
don't
need
you?
yeah, and that's fine if you've got a family member, if you've got a friend, if you've got someone that can take you on last minute's notice, then great, that's fine.
Yeah.
You also need to be prepared if, right, I get a dog, I'm going to, sorry, my cat's jumping everywhere. I need to find a taxi company that takes dogs,
Yeah.
and one that isn't just got one driver, so that I'm not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So transport is one thing for me, because at the end of the day, if your dog breaks his leg on a walk or it runs into a stick, you need to get your dog to a vet as soon as possible. And if, fine, again, if you don't drive this, you can't drive there.
Yeah.
However, you need to have a plan of action
I
for
mean,
if that
maybe going
happens.
one step further, I agree completely, but maybe going one step further, if you have a dog that's as big as one of ours, you should maybe have a plan in place anyway. You know, like if Sherlock broke his leg in the middle of a field, I couldn't get him from the field to the van.
You'd be surprised.
I mean, I could,
You
uh,
would be surprised. I've lifted up Woody out of his hydrotherapy tank before because he needed the toilet.
have
I
you?
literally scooped him up from out the hydro tank, put him out to go to the toilet, and then scooped him back to put him back in again. And I've had to lift him up multiple times. Like, we got we got rushed by a dachshund with his teeth baring, and I had to just pick Woody up and swing him around because I was like, it's the dachshund is Woody, and it's like, it is that mother instinct
Maybe
that
the
it kicks
adrenaline
in.
kicking and everything else, and maybe you just would.
Hmm.
But yeah, they do slings, don't they, that you can carry
Yeah,
with. So if
and
you
that's the thing. Like, I've got a couple of first aid kits, and I've made up a few of my own, and I try to make sure that whenever we go out on a walk, I've got one on me. Because it's that thing again, like, you need to be able to have the means to either get your dog to the vet or be able to, like, first aid whatever
Mhm.
the issue is. And, like, again, there, so owners, as part of that, should probably all go to a first aid course, because it's not the same as people. Most people that haven't been to a human first aid course. I've not been to a human first aid course.
I haven't. Oh.
So to know what to do is a different story, but dogs are completely different. And actually, when we did our canine first aid, there's a lot on it. And then it's like, oh, we'll use your parcel shelf in your car as a
Yeah,
stretcher. Right, that's fine, but
yeah.
how am I going to parcel shelf stretcher my dog on my own? Like, again, like you said, you need to have those bits in place. So transport for me is a big one. You need to have, if you don't drive, you need to have a backup plan. And again, I absolutely hate driving. However, in that instance,
Hmm.
I get on with it. Like, I've
You'd
only
have
got
to
my
do it.
van.
Yeah, you'd
I
have to
don't
do it.
like driving long distance. I don't like driving into town. However, one of our emergency vets has now moved to Bath, which is going to be a half an hour drive in itself. But again, so what we did with that, we cheated the system. We've registered to a second vet
Yeah.
whose emergency vet is down the road.
So you
So
plan
it's
just in
something
case.
for, yeah, it's something for people to think of. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to be registered to one vet because they're close or their prices are right or this, that, and the other. I've registered to a vet literally for the sake of their emergency outside. So the daytime vet is down the road, but then the out of hours vet is down that road, but
Yeah.
it's still within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So
My vet's has got an emergency vet, and it's 4 minutes down the road.
yeah,
So that's great. They're both registered to there. So I didn't drive when I first got my dog. Didn't drive. Hated driving. Never wanted to drive. Hated it. But like you said, I had my parents, I had my grandparents down the road. The vets were 4 minutes down the road, so it was quite easy to get there. It would have been doable. If I'd have lived by myself, that would have been a very different
yeah,
story.
and that was the same with me. Um, I obviously lived at home, and I have my boyfriend who drives. I have my parents, so I've always had someone if I needed to.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been driving 7 years now, so it makes a difference anyway.
Yeah.
But it's having that option and then making sure you've got someone as backup.
Mhm.
When we bought Woody, I couldn't drive, and actually my friend came with me to pick him up. So
Yeah.
it was one of the. I mean, she didn't need to. The person I bought him from, literally is 5 minutes down the road. But it was one of those. It was, you do it. But for the second half of that, in
Yeah.
the sense of you need to be able to get vet treatment, is the money side of things. Um, I don't care whether you've got insurance, if you've got credit cards, you need to be able to have some sort of means. And it's one of those, I find it hard. I mean, I've got horses, I've got dogs, I've got cats.
Mhm.
It's just being able to somehow pay for that treatment. You get a lot of people who complain saying, oh, yeah, but I pay all this insurance, but like, I don't get anything from it anyway. We might not at the minute, but it's that backup if anything does happen, because those are people.
I Yeah, I've got a story about that. So, our first Dalmatian, Logan, was like a healthiest Dalmatian you've ever met ever. So he had nothing wrong with him. He had no surgery, no diet issues. He never went to the vets in the like 15 years that he was alive, nothing. So when I got Sherlock, I was kind of naively in with that mindset and was like, well, I've had one for 15 years and there's never been anything wrong with it. Imagine paying insurance for 15 years and not needing
Mhm.
it. So I didn't get insurance. And then a year later, Sherlock gets rushed to hospital with bladder stones, and he cost me £5,500. So, it's all well and good going, I might not need it, but I lost 5.5 grand.
Yeah. And it's one of those in like, great if you've got savings behind you, that's fine. I don't. I don't have any savings.
It's only because I was living at home. I was living with my
Yeah.
parents. That was a mortgage deposit. I
Yeah.
was counting up. I was like, that's
Yeah.
when I move out. And you know what? I didn't think twice.
No.
Like it's going to cost this. And I was like,
For
pay it.
me, it is that if there's an emergency, I don't have that waiting at the minute.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll find a way. That's my other thing, is that fine, if you don't want insurance, fine, but you need to be able to find a way to
Yeah.
get that cash. So it's the same with the rest of it. Whether it means I borrow from my mum, my dad, my brother, my boyfriend, there's a backup if I need it. But you'll get people who, they either won't ask other people or they don't have a backup. They don't
Yeah.
have insurance and they don't have a credit card. And then you also get the people who don't want to apply for a credit card and don't want to apply for a loan. You need to have something behind you as some sort of means, if you don't have that money waiting, to
For
be able
me,
to pay for those vet bills.
for me, it came down, it was like, you're either going to have to, spend 5.5 grand to save your dog, or you're going to end up putting your dog to sleep.
Mhm.
It was that much of a decision. It was like, well, if we can't fix him now, that's it, he's gone.
Yeah.
So I was finding that money regardless. Would I
Mhm.
be able to do it now? Probably couldn't just spend 5.5 grand and
No,
just there you go.
no.
I'd find a way
And
to do it because I love him to bits, but yeah, it'd
and
be
it's never how much you expect it either. I think when you go into a vet, you need to expect to be spending more than what you think
yeah.
you're spending. Woody's tail cost me 2.5 grand. Well, it went on insurance, but it would have cost me 2.5 grand.
What I
My
get a
horse,
lot from clients is they don't think about how much a vet visit will cost. So I get it a lot in that they go and they buy insurance and they think they're doing the right thing getting insurance and they go for like 2 grand's worth of insurance or 4 grand's worth of insurance. And if your dog breaks a leg or anything like that,
yeah,
that's not going to cover it.
well, you need to always go for the highest that you can possibly get. Um, I don't actually know what mine are, but I know that they're at the highest. But it's like you said, like I know we're talking about dogs, but f- I like the shock factor for people when if they don't know about horses. So with horses,
I genuinely dread to
you
think.
pay a call out fee. So essentially, the visit for the vet to come to you, you pay. You then pay for a consultation. So the call out fee doesn't include the consultation. So you're literally just paying for them to drive to your yard, and that's it. You pay for the consult, then you pay for any treatment or medication on top of that. So
Do you
in
know off the top of your head how much a call out charge is? Do
about
you know?
50 quid. So
Yeah.
they normally have a thing like if you've got two or three horses at once having the same, like having a visit at the same time, you get a free call out fee. But obviously, so if it's just Ada, like my dog, my horse has got vet tomorrow,
Yeah.
so that's a 50 quid for call out fee plus the consultation. Um, so that in itself is going to cost me £100 if I then don't have to pay for any more treatment or anything like that. Like tomorrow's to do with their sight, so I don't know how it's going to go.
Okay.
So it could just be that. So she's also on anti-anxiety meds at the minute because, I mean, she's 21 now. She's got pretty bad anxiety, which gets worse because her sight that is going slightly. So it
Yeah.
might just be that she has more meds, or it might be that we've got to go down a different route. But in itself, I'm paying £100 just for the vet to come and see my horse. It's not the same. And then I think, yeah, if people don't expect actually how much is going to come of it. Things like x-rays, you're paying. So she's had a back x-ray before she's had her hocks x-rayed. Um, and it's per picture. So if they're doing front, back, like that's
Mhm.
4 photos, you're paying per picture. And I think people need to do a bit of research into their vet stuff and ask for all the other bits just so that they know what they're expecting to pay because it's not what you expect.
It's
You need
not.
to be prepared for that sort of thing and then have a backup. So, like I said, Woody cost 2.5 grand for his tail. When he had his back done, he had x-rays on his back. Um,
Yeah.
he's got a condition, so he's got like a slip disc, but it's not a slip disc.
Okay.
That cost £700. Ada's cost me absolute thousands. It's just, you never know what it's going to cost, but you just need to have means somehow, whether it's a credit card, a loan, your boyfriend, your mum, someone to back up, or you just have savings or you have insurance. You need to have something to rely on because 2 grand on a dog, you then can't support because you don't have the money for it.
My friend did. So my friend, she had insurance with her first dog, never needed it. So she instead set up a savings account for her dog, and she just made sure every month she whacked like 100, £200 and whatever it was. And then when she lost her dog, and he'd not needed anything she'd put into her savings, she went out and bought a brand new car. She just went, well, it's there. I
Which
can,
is fine. If
and
you're not going to get another dog and you've got that money waiting, then why not?
Yeah.
But equally, if you're the kind of person like me or you know that if any of these go, we're going to go and get another dog at some point.
Yeah.
That's either the money to pay for the dog,
Yeah.
or you've got vets bills money waiting as it is, because at some point you're going to have to pay for vaccinations, you're going to have to pay for worming, you're going to have to pay for whatever else comes with it.
Mhm.
You might as well have it side. And I think if you can afford, if it was me, if you can afford insurance and put 20, 50 quid away a month as well, then I do it, because obviously there's no guarantee with insurance either. So I'm not sure about Woody, but with Ada, I'm pretty sure all she's insured on now is for external injuries. So if she gets a cut or something like that, she's not insured for any of her bones. She's not insured for colic. I don't think she's insured for colic anymore. So she's literally just insured, like if she runs through a barbed wire fence and cuts her chest, that's all she's insured for. She won't be insured
Sherlock,
for anything else.
Sherlock's not insured. Kevin is. Sherlock's not because the fee to get him insured, by the time you factored in his bladder conditions, the fact he's on medication for it, the fact that he's deaf, the fact that, you've got everything that mounts up. So he gets money put to one side for him. That's there
Yeah.
in if he needs it. Kevin is insured for everything. I thought start as I should have done for Sherlock. So he's got insurance. But there's money for both of them. It's there. If anything
Yeah.
happens, it's there. Worst case scenario, like you say, you take out a loan or a credit.
Yeah.
My vets are really good. They set up payment plans, like I could sort something out with them. It would be fine.
And
Um,
that's the thing, isn't it? Like, not all vets are like that. So my vets don't deal with my insurance directly, so I still have to pay for it, and then I claim it back from my vet.
yeah.
So because of, I think it was since lockdown, with the boomer lockdown, all the dogs, and then insurance companies not paying out, my vet only deals with 4 different insurances directly, and mine isn't one of them.
Okay.
So regardless, I've still got to pay out whatever that bill is and then claim it back.
And then
So
back.
again, is something to think of, because if you're not one of the big 4 insurances, the likelihood is you're still going to have to pay something out anyway.
It's a lot of money because, like my friend, he's waiting on a claim and it's gonna take 6 to 8 weeks to cover the bill.
Yeah.
That's a long time to be, thousands of pounds down.
Yeah. And different vets don't do. My vet for the dogs don't do payment plans. They won't do it.
Do they not?
Whereas, nope. I know with Ada's, while they don't technically do it, I told them on one of her bills I couldn't pay it off in one go. So they did give me 3 months to pay it.
Yeah.
But that was because they didn't have a choice. I said literally, like, I can pay you say £200 now, and then you'll have to have the rest over a couple of months. They didn't have a choice.
No, it just happened so quickly. So it went from he's got a urinary infection to here's a catheter to now he's fully blocked to here's surgery one, no, that's not worked. Here's surgery two, no, that's not worked. Have some x-rays. And
Yeah.
it went from nothing to about 5 grand. It was probably more by the time you've added up all the extras. And I just said to them, I was like, that's a lot of money that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
Like, I got it and I can pay it, but
Yeah.
it would be much easier for me if you can split it into chunks.
Yeah.
And they did, they were great. And then I think I remember I had to pop back in for something else the week after because he'd hurt himself some differently.
Yeah.
And I went in and they went, forget about the consult fee. They went, we've taken so much off you the past like how many weeks. Just go. I was like, thanks.
And
Um,
that's the thing. I think if you talk to your vet and actually build up a relationship with them, then normally they are good enough to do something with you. Like, I'm really friendly with the receptionist or head manager or whatever at the vet. So she always tries to do what I can. And if I've got anything I have to question, she'll look into it.
doesn't it
Um,
make such a difference though to have that relationship with them? Because I love my vets. They know me, they recognize me, like they're brilliant, and I recommend them to everybody. But it makes such a difference going in, having that relationship and them knowing your dogs. Yes, the vet I use is not the cheapest, but they do a really good job, so I
yeah.
actually don't care.
Right, let's move on from that one. Jade, have you got another one for us?
We've got another one. Can I use specific ones? Because I've had
Yeah.
this happen a few times recently. So there's that dispute, isn't there, as to whether you should get a dog if you go to work. So
Yeah.
that's always quite a hot topic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I have nothing against people working. People need to go to work. However, I have a lot of people that are locking their dog in a crate
Hmm.
for 20 to 22 hours a day whilst they're going to work, whilst they're going out, whilst they're going out with their boyfriend, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
And these dogs are spending 22 hours a day in a crate.
And people don't think about the overnight, do they? They think, oh yeah, he's only in a crate for like 8 hours when I'm at work. I'm like, but they go in a crate overnight as well
Exactly
when you go
that.
to sleep. So
Yeah.
that's 16 hours a day that your dog's
So
in a
I
crate.
had a lady message me and she was like, so he's in the crate when I go to work. And I think it was 10 hours when she was at work, I think, if I remember rightly. Um, and then she was literally coming home, letting the dog out for a wee, and then putting him back in the crate overnight. So he was doing like a 20, 21 hour stint in the crate with like a half an hour wee break in the middle. And that was it. And it's always, not that it's okay, but it's always dog breeds that are wired anyway.
Yeah.
And then they're stuck in a crate. And then you let them out the crate and they're just wired.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then people wonder why they're worried and get pissy that
the,
they're worried.
And then the solution to that is, oh, you know what, you're being a bit annoying. I'm putting you back in your crate. And you
And
just,
yeah. You find then as well, like they've got no enrichment, they've got nothing to keep them occupied. Like,
no.
yeah, okay, Bucky's in the pen there. But he's got the ostrich bones, which are like this big, and he's having a good old munch on it. And as soon as we finish this podcast, he'll go to the toilet and go in the garden for like an hour. So it's one of those. And yeah, okay, so different jobs, different things. So I used to work in an office, literally, it's a 5 minute drive from here. It used to take me 15 minutes to walk if I needed to.
Yeah,
I used to get a 45-minute lunch break from that place. So I'd come home.
yeah,
I didn't have Bucky at that point, I only had Woody. So I think it was until he was 18 months old, he was crated.
yeah,
So I'd come home at lunchtime, I'd let him out for a wee. So I'd probably spend half an hour at home while I did that, play in the garden or take him around the block for a walk, come
mhm,
back, put him in his crate, come home from work, take him to the stables. So yeah, all right, for somewhere between 6 and 8 hours a day used to be in a crate, but he'd be in there at 4 hours at a time.
mhm,
And then he'd have a half an hour play or walk in the middle, and then he'd have his evening walk or come to the stables. I used to be at stables for like 2 hours at a time, so he used to come to the stables and spend 2 hours at the stables, and then I'd walk him when we got home from the stables as well. So he still had all of that, and he wasn't crated overnight. So he was always allowed to sleep on my bed. It was only when he was left at home that he was
yeah,
crated because he was a little bit destructive as they do through teenage, like the
yeah,
teenage stage. It was for a safety aspect, but he didn't mind his crate, so that didn't matter. So in that sense, he was crated for 8 hours a day. But he got his
yeah.
enrichment, he got his
It's,
walk, he always got a treat when he went in his crate. Like it was one of those things. And now Woody doesn't get crated anymore. He hasn't been crated since he lost his tail. He goes in there every so often. But actually he puts himself in there to get away
yeah,
from Lucky. So it's one of those.
yeah. I mean, like I said, people need to go to work. I'm not
Yeah,
like a horrible person. People need to go to work. My dogs will have days where they might spend, yeah, maybe 8 hours in a crate, maybe. Not Sherlock. Kevin will. Kevin's not graduated from a crate yet. But they'll do like 4 hours maybe in the morning while I go to classes. I'll come home, we'll take them to the field, they'll go for a run around the field. They might have a bone or a chew of some description. And then if I'm going out for a couple of hours in the nighttime, they'll go back in the crate. But they're still getting their walks and
yeah,
their training and their enrichment and like everything else. But it's when these people are like, my dogs, I had one about a Dalmatian once, and he was like, you'll appreciate that because you've got a Dalmatian that they're really untrainable and they're just mental. And I was like, they're not
no,
okay. And it was because he was locking his Dalmatian in a crate, or if it wasn't in the crate, it was confined to the kitchen, so
yeah,
it was never free. And he was locking it in a crate for about 22 hours a day, taking it for a walk. And as you can imagine, a Dalmatian that's locked in a crate for 22 hours a day is going to react when it
yeah.
gets to the field. It was running about, it had no recall, it was jumping up on him, it was barking, it was lead grabbing. So he'd just clip the lead on and go home and put him back in a crate.
Yeah.
And it was just this cycle.
And it's one of those things again, and obviously every dog's different, but we've had it with Bucky, so he's been all right recently, but he used to get a bit of FOMO. a bit bored. So he was I mean, it's very rare. Both of our boys have been destructive. It is what it is. They're highly hormonal dogs.
They hit
At
like,
teenage stage, Dalmatians are really hormonal.
yeah.
Um, so is granted, but now that he's got a bit of a different routine, so they wake up, my other half feeds them. He will stay out of that pen until I go to work.
Yeah.
Depending on how things are, he might go out for a walk in the morning, just run the block to give him some energy. But generally, after he's had his food, he goes back asleep, and that's by his choice, not mine. I don't force him to. He'll get up on the bed and he knocks himself out.
Yeah.
As long as I've given him something, whether it's mental enrichment, so he has one of his enrichment toys, he has a chew, he has something to think about, he's got no need to be destructive. I think,
Sherlock was always the destructive one. Kevin's not destructive. Kevin's like a Labrador. He'll pick something up and he'll like parade with it, but he doesn't chew it.
yeah.
Sherlock went through blankets, beds, cushions.
Yeah, I mean, Bucky's in a mix of that. So, like, he will pick things up and be like, hey, look what I've got. But, like, when he was created, if he got frustrated, he'll pull something through it. And then, did I send you a picture of my Ugg boot the other day? I don't know if I did. I did, yeah.
Yes.
Literally, it was in front of that gate.
And he
And
pulled it through.
he pulled it through and he chewed on it. And the only difference that day was that my mum had had them that day. So mum had put him in there and
Yeah.
she hadn't obviously followed. I mean, I didn't tell her, but she hadn't
Yeah.
followed the routine we normally do. So I would have given him a frozen carrot. He would have chewed that and then he would have gone to sleep.
Yeah.
Because she just put him in there, he obviously got frustrated.
Helped himself to something
It
instead.
happened. And it's one of those. But again, it's fine having a job. But again, it's having the means for the dog. So
Yeah.
you either come home from work on your lunch break, given if you've got the opportunity to. If you don't have the opportunity to, then you get a dog walker or a pet sitter or a friend or a neighbour. You get someone to go in.
Yeah, there's loads of options. Like you could do anything. I've got so many people whose neighbours come and let their dogs out
Hmm.
because my neighbour's offered. I'd never ever get her to do it because she's like a 90-year-old
Yeah.
frail lady. And she's like, oh, I'll come let the boys out for you. And I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like,
My other half's mum has offered, and I'm like, I know the heartfelt is there, but I know my dogs and they're big boys and the only person I let walk them is my other half. I don't
yeah,
let anyone else walk them. And it's not that they're naughty, they're big dogs, they're strong. Like
yeah,
my mum wouldn't be able to handle them. My dad's 6'3", he's about 20 stone, he's an ex-rugby player. I don't let my dad walk them because dad's got a slip disc in his back. If one of them pulls the wrong way, that's my dad on the floor.
yeah.
And it's not, again, it's not that they're untrained, it's not that they're unruly. It's me just being safe. I'm not going to put someone else at risk when it's not their dog.
No, Kevin's unruly, so that's why. No, they both like to lean on people.
Yeah,
So like you come into the house and you just get like leaned
yeah,
on. And then they start fighting because you're not allowed to say hello to Sherlock.
yeah,
Kevin's just not allowed to. And then they start zooming about, and I'm just like, if they like clip this old
yeah.
person, she's on the floor.
Just
That's it.
come home
And
from
then
work,
they'd
so
go
just like,
sit on her. They'd just be like, oh, this is great. And just sit on her, and that'd be it. Yeah, bless them. Yeah.
no, it's definitely not work it. Right, let's do one last one. We got about
Yeah.
15 minutes left. So I think we're going to go with don't get a dog
Yeah.
if you expect to have a clean and tidy household.
Oh God, yes. Oh, my
It's
pet
not even just don't get a dog, don't get animals.
don't get anything. Or
No,
kids,
nope.
nothing.
Don't get
Live by
don't get
yourself.
animals if you want a clean and tidy household.
My
Your
pet hate,
your
and
house.
you've probably had it, is when you're hired to walk somebody's dog. So you know where I'm going already. You're
Hmm.
hired to walk somebody's dog, and it's the middle of winter, and they have a fluffy dog or a white dog, and they go, "Can you take them for a walk, but don't get them dirty?" How's that
You
possible?
know what? We're quite lucky and we've not really had that. We've had one client
Oh,
who she did complain, which is no longer our client, because there was a dust mark on the floor.
Oh.
and apparently the sofa was dirty and it was a new sofa. She didn't tell us it was a new sofa. Um, we had dried them off with what we had because they hadn't left a towel out. And for us, because we're solo walkers and generally the dogs don't go in the car, we walk
Hmm.
them from the front door
Yeah. I used
round
to do
where we
that.
got to go. So we don't have towels on us because we don't. We'd go through about 12 towels a day. We just don't have it. And this was the one time they hadn't left a towel out. So I did what I could with what I could find
Yeah.
and then got on with it. And then they complained. But we've also had it with a cat owner.
Yeah.
Everything was white. And either it was the one that I'm still in two minds of it. Either it was the one day I didn't take my boots off, which I don't think was the case because there was marks on this rug, but there wasn't any marks upstairs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I got moaned at about the rug and said I might have to buy a new rug and this, that, and the other. She got to clean it. It came out. It wasn't the end of the world. I reckon someone else went in.
Yeah.
But it was just like the minute you get an animal, your house is never going to smell the same.
Never.
Your house is never going to be not full of fur. Like unless you get a bloody what they called the Sholos, the bulb
Oh,
ones,
yes. My friend has
or a
them.
Sphinx cat. Unless you get
Yeah.
something that has no hair, you're always going to have hair somewhere. I mean, you know what it's
I've
like with
got
these
black
two.
leggings on, like you can see it all over my leggings. It's everywhere.
Let's see if we can do it. Wait. There, I don't think you're going to be able to see it.
Oh no, you can.
Yeah,
You
there.
It's
Just
all
from
over my trousers, like it's everywhere. It's on
yeah,
my
just
phone
from
currently.
smoothing Woody. So you can
Yeah,
only imagine what it's like having two Dalmatians in the house. It's white, but not the way intended. Um, you can't expect to not have muddy paws from the garden unless you're prepared to wash your dog's feet every time you go out in the garden. You're going to get mud. And I'm not being funny. Again, with Dalmatians, if you're letting them out every 4 hours, 5 hours like you're meant to, do you really want to be cleaning your dog's feet 4 or 5 times a day?
I don't do it. I gave up.
I don't
I,
do it anyway.
I gave up. I was going to be really good, and I went through this phase of I put some vet bed by the back door, and I was like, right, I'm going to train them every time I let them in. They can sit on the vet bed. I'll dry their feet. Never have to look at muddy feet ever again. It lasted about a day.
Yeah.
I can't be bothered doing that anymore.
Now, is
Everywhere's covered in blankets. Sofa's got blankets on, chairs have got blankets on, bed's got blankets on, and I just throw them in the wash.
yeah. And it's one of our clients know that if they're home, we don't clean feet. Your dog gets their time allotted for their walk and you clean their feet.
Yeah,
Or if you're not home, they get 5 minutes off their walk to clean their feet.
yeah.
But
That's what
I'm not a groomer. I don't groom your dogs. Your dogs will have their paws towel dried
yeah,
and got the best off we can. If you are one that is a bit particular about your house, then we'll make sure your dog's put in a room that
yeah.
they're allowed to. They get put back in the crate, whatever it is that it is. But I'm not a groomer. It's not my job to make sure your dog's tidy. I'm a dog walker. I'm a dog trainer. So my job is to enrich your dogs, not
I had
do
one.
anything
I
else.
had a complaint, not from when I used to walk, from a class, and a lady's dog walker had dropped her Labrador off, and it had been swimming in this like mucky, boggy, horrible. It's horrible. This dog was covered, and they didn't even towel dry it. So they've got it on camera. They didn't even towel dry it. They literally opened the front door, let this manky Labrador in, and it rolled all over her grey sofas, and
Lovely.
the sofas were just black. Yeah, that did not go down very well.
No, I can imagine not. And it's one of those, I wouldn't ever like leave a dog absolutely disgusting. But again, so I had one yesterday actually. It was absolutely tipping it down yesterday. And
Yeah,
again, one time the owner didn't leave a towel out. So I text them at the start of the walk saying like where do you keep your towels? Like is tipping it down. You haven't left no, I
yeah,
didn't say you haven't left a coat out, but they hadn't let a coat out, they hadn't let a towel out. They didn't reply. I looked around the house. There was no towels in sight. Without me going upstairs, and I'm not
and
intruding
from the
people's when
sink. Yeah,
I'm not intruding in people's houses unless I'm a dog sit. Like I haven't dog sit for this dog, so I'm not going upstairs. Um, so I just had to text her saying, "Look, she's wet." Um, I had a look around.
yeah.
There's nothing I can do.
I think, yeah, it depends on the type of client. So I've had I've had people that are like, I don't want my dog getting wet. And it's like, it's raining outside. Like, what do you want me to do? And if you're walking a cockapoo, so I used to have a load of cockapoos, like more than anything. And I was solo walking as well. And if you imagine adding on drying time to a cockapoo,
Hmm.
you've got like 8 of them in a day. It's ridiculous.
No, I get you. I definitely get you. And it's one of those, yeah, you just don't get animals if you want a clean life. That's just not
Yeah,
how it works.
you can't have both. Unless you're going to pay for a cleaner to come
Hmm.
times a day. I don't think it'd work.
Well,
Do it.
because whether it's fur, whether it's dirty paw prints, you got to think like my two dribble when they have a drink, so there's going to be water over the floor. Um,
Sherlock tipped his bowl over the other day. I was fuming. He just walked up to it and he like looked at it. It wasn't fresh. And he just went, "Pff," and it went all over the floor. And then he
mm.
looked at me and looked at the bowl. And I was like, I'm not filling that up. Like you've just like,
Our cat does it. Tink, our little black kitten does it. She'll
yeah.
go over to the bowl and then she just go, "Toot, toot, toot," and I'm like, "Will you stop?" But she does it every time she has a drink. She'll play with it first,
Yeah.
and then she has a drink. And she has tipped it up on occasion as well. And we've got like one of the anti-leak bowls, so like it's got the floaty thing in the middle of it, and then it's got like a lid, but it hoods over. She still tips it up.
Yeah.
And you just obviously they've got their own personality, they've got their own ideas. Like you just can't have a tidy
Yeah. One
house.
of the things that mine like to do that I find really cute but would probably annoy lots of people is they sneak into the bathroom and they don't steal the toilet roll. They'll steal the empty cardboard
Yeah,
tube when you
mine love it.
toilet roll. So they'll sneak in and they'll like look to see if you're looking. Kevin can now pull the toilet roll off the toilet roll holder. He nudges it off with his nose. And then they tear it to shreds. They don't eat it. They like play tug of war with it and throw the cardboard everywhere. Then I have to clear up all the cardboard
Yeah,
afterwards. But it keeps them quiet. And I think it's quite cute when they're fighting over the toilet roll tube. So I just let them do it.
yeah.
Again, that's more mess to clean up afterwards.
Yeah, and like with mine, I mean, Bucky does it. I'll be in the bathroom and he'll come on in, and then he goes, "I'm just gonna dig sock," and then run away. And I'm like, for God's sake! So then you got socks us around the house, just because he's decided that he wants to steal a sock. Come on, come here, don't you menace? Now he's
Quite
gone.
bad for that. So Sherlock will come in and Kevin will steal the sock and then Sherlock will take it off him and stand there like wiggling it in front of Kevin's
And then
face.
you've got him playing tug of war with your
Yeah.
sock in the middle of the
And
room,
then
and you're like, "Leave
and then you're running around like semi-changed trying to get a sock off of it.
it."
And of course Kevin can hear me. So if Kevin's got it, I can call him to me and he'll give it me back. But if Sherlock's got it, I've got to go and find him. And usually he stands in the middle of the garden and he's like, "Hi, I've got a sock." And I'm like, "Don't even think about it."
You menace. Little menaces, aren't you, boys? Can you come up? No, he's not having it. You're just gonna make a mess on the bed instead, aren't you, bud? Lovely. And things
Sherlock.
like again, their food's gonna make a mess. Just owning animals makes a mess. So if you're someone that's got, I don't mean this in a rude way, if you're someone who's got OCD or you've got a particularly cleanliness gene, then maybe an animal's not for you.
Well, it's like that whole diet thing that we were talking about before. Like, you've got people
Yep.
who don't want to feed raw because, they're worried about the bacteria or the food getting all that kind of stuff. Like that's
Hmm.
something to factor in. And yeah, there's just loads, isn't there?
Yes. We might make this a regular feature. Don't
Yeah, I'm
get a
only halfway through
if
my list. I've got loads to go.
there's lots we can go through, but we are going to have to call it a day there, guys. So thank you for watching. As always, like, subscribe, share, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye bye.